And we're going to get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the wonderful world of books. That's a big world. That's okay. That's what we do. We build worlds. We talk about building worlds and whatnot. Arcanum Unbound. That's what we do here. It me, Jordo, your favorite Streamstram guy. With Dave, the co-host. Everyone's favorite geriatric. Hooray! Books.
Wow, how dare you?
Am I wrong?
Yes.
How dare you, sir?
I didn't know what else to say.
I mean, fair enough. You got me there. I really didn't know where to go after the very excessive how dare you myself. But that's okay. So, we're technically recording 2 episodes right now. But I'm going to split them up nicely into individuals and also post the one that I'm way late on. So we're reading The Blood of Elves by Andrezej Sapkowski, which I definitely did not have to put a pronunciation of that into our Cliff Notes. Definitely did not.
He is my favorite of the Spkowskis.
Wait, there's more than one Sapkowski? Actually, why did I say that at all? Of course there's more than one Sapkowski. 7 billion people on the planet. Wait, there's more? Oh, boy. At least I catch myself. I wish I catch myself before I say these things. But you know what? This is something, I guess. Anyway, what other Sapkowskis were you referring to?
None.
Wow. He's just really leading the pack there. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
You can't name another one, so he's obviously the best.
I mean, you got me there. So, you want to try and give a synopsis of this one? The first original... Okay, it's the first book written by Sapkowski. But it's technically the 4th book of the series.
Well, it's the first novel that he wrote.
It is the first novel that he wrote.
But he had already written, short story collections.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But, not soon enough, Cass. I did not catch myself soon enough.
So, what would you like here?
I don't know. Give me your best synopsis. I'll do the synopsis of the next book.
Okay. Wow.
We can fill in each other's gaps. It's fine.
All right. Let's see.
I know it's been a minute.
Where
does it start? Where do we start in this one? I actually don't remember either. Maybe we'll look this up.
You could have asked for this on the sheet itself before we did this.
I know. Look, I finished the other book, literally 20 minutes ago. Okay, no, never mind. We're pushing 30 minutes now.
Okay, well, I'm just going to steal someone else's because I did not write a synopsis. So.
No, I know.
Right.
I'm also going to try and steal someone else's.
Alright, I'm just going to go with the Goodreads one. So
is that actually a synopsis?
Is it?
I don't know. We're so good at what we do? Oh my god.
Well, I mean, I looked at what you prepared, but you did not ask me.
I know. I don't have a synopsis for... Okay, because I can give... I thought I'd be able to, I can pull this out of my nose. It's like, no, I can't. Anyway, about a year before the beginning of the story, the Empire of Nilfgaard attacks the kingdom of Sintra. Queen Calanthe, mortally wounded, commits suicide, and her granddaughter, Cirilla, called Ciri and nicknamed the Lion Club of Sintra, manages to flee from the burning capital city. The Emperor of Nilfgaard sends his spies to find her. He knows that the young girl has great importance, not only because of her royal blood, but also because of her magical potential and elven blood in her veins. And essentially, throughout that's the first... I'll be honest, that's the first paragraph from the plot on Wikipedia. But essentially, it builds from there on how Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri kind of split off and do their own things, and they converge every so often. I'm trying to think of the more I know. I'll just keep reading. Who am I kidding? Almost 2 years after the war won by the Northern Kingdoms, the rulers of the North meet in secret to discuss the political situation. Peace with Nilfgaard is not what it was supposed to be. Nilfgaardian financial power is ruining the northern economy, Emissaries agitate aristocrats and merchants against their monarchs. Elves and dwarves have formed partisan groups called the Scoia'tael, I think, the squirrels, and are conducting acts of terror against humans. And in every major city, cultists are prophesizing the world will end, unless the savior comes from the south. The kings decide to start a war before the empire weakens their countries further to regain Sintra. They are aware of the emperor is looking for Ciri to marry her morganatically, and thus to gain the rights to Sintra, which is now under Nilfgaardian occupation. To prevent this, the monarchs decide to find and kill Ciri. Oh, I missed that in my read, but okay. And throughout the book, she's protected by Geralt, training to be a Witcher, in which they spend time in Kaer Morhen, the castle of the Witchers. They are also in, what is it called? When she's learning with Yennefer, what do they call that? I guess it's a temple school of Elendar. Yennefer asks Ciri whether or not she would like her at first, leading to a series of flashbacks detailing Ciri's studies with Yennefer for the day they were introduced and back to present the temple. Ciri responds by admitting that she did not like her, and they leave. Okay, I cut out a few things out there, but that's okay. More or less, it takes place after the show.
Sort of.
Yeah, like it's like partially after the show. Like it overlaps a lot because like the show kind of like borrowed a lot itself. So anyway.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff in the other book that I read is actually the stuff that's in the show. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you read The Blood of Elves because I'm terrible at communicating, apparently.
No, I read. Well, I.
Or
read
sorry, we were reading The Blood of Elves. You read The Last Wish.
The Last Wish. Yeah.
My bad. Sorry, that's on me. I own that one. I'll put it into our next like 4-month block.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
No, but I also own it, so I'd like to read it.
Okay.
I want to double up a little bit, not to detract too much, but like I want to double up a little bit on some like overlapping worlds, so we kind of get like this is what happens in this, or like how Sapkowski kind of like built on other concepts or towards other things. So like that's why we're going to be reading the Wise Man's Fear, but also because the Doors of Stone come out, so that'll be the end of the Kingkiller Chronicles in August. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. What'd you think?
Sort of.
Hello?
Hello?
What did you think?
Oh, I didn't hear you for a second.
Oh,
I know
weird.
people were saying Discord's been having issues all day.
Yeah, that might be a real deal breaker, but we'll see. We'll power through.
Yeah. I give it 4 out of 5 stars.
4 out of 5.
Yeah.
What'd you like about it?
Well, I think that just with the Witcher series in general, I like the universe it's set in. I also like the complexity of certain characters, and I generally like the writing style, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that this book was as strong as the other one.
As the Last Wish?
Yeah, there were definitely certain things, like, I felt like there was a bit too much politics in this one, which
that's fair.
kind of dragged at points.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, there was a couple times where I just kind of zoned out, but overall, I mean, it's a solid book.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's just a matter of, like, I'm kind of with you. Like, I just felt there should have been more to it. Almost, like, more action. Like, I know writing out a fight scene in fantasy is not... Or just writing out a fight scene is not always stellar. And I was kind of expecting more, and, like, a little bit more to do with monsters rather than, like, relationships and character building. Like, I felt like there was a lot of exposition. Which is not bad, especially because, like, when you're someone like Spkowski, you're going to get a lot more leeway than other authors are, and, like, new authors. And so that kind of helped me justify it a little bit. I don't know. I'd probably only... Like, I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, but I think 3.5 is a little more appropriate. Like, I'm not turned away from Sapkowski by any means. I'm not... Like, I didn't dislike this book. I just think there's more that could have come out of this book. And
Yeah, I would give the other book that I read, like, 4.5.
Oh, yeah.
So,
So
I definitely think that this, like I said, I like the universe. I'll continue to read his other books, but this one may not have been his strongest.
yeah. And I mean, it's his first one. Like, that's kind of how I justified it to myself, too, when, like, the writing felt a little weaker. It's still written pretty well. It's just, like, there was clearly, like, a lot to refine. And I think I'm hoping he does in other books. I'm assuming he does based on what you have to say. So,
Yes.
kind of answered our own question, but you're familiar with the Witcher universe prior to this, assumedly.
Barely.
Okay.
I have never played any of the games really, and I had only watched the show as I was reading the first book. So
Okay, so that's kind
I
of your...
really didn't know anything about it going into accidentally reading the first book and then reading the second. So
Fair. And, like, I found, with my, like, somewhat knowledge of the world, like, I had played a bit of The Witcher 3, and I'd heard of it. Like, it gets talked a lot about in Discord.
yes,
But, like, I was not entirely familiar with the world, and, like, this... I don't want to get into it too much. I'll save it. We got questions for that later. Did you like it better than the show, or did you prefer the show?
that's hard to say because the show was actually really good.
The show was great. The show was fantastic.
I think it's about even for me, to be honest. It's just the problem with watching a show before you read the books or anything is you then have those character models in your head as you're reading through it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that would have changed the way that I felt about anything. And I definitely feel that there are liberties that they take with the show or things that seem a little bit altered. But it's fine. Like... It's hard. It's hard when you're in that situation where you weren't going into it completely open-minded.
Yeah. Well, I felt they were very true to the book.
Yes.
In the sense that they were trying to do it as much justice as they could, and Sapkowski said that the show version of Geralt is the definitive version of the show. It just followed, like, what got me is that it follows like a very Superman model. In the sense that Superman is, like, unkillable, but so everything, like, all the conflict and issues come from, like, personal stuff. But that's whatever. I won't get too hard into that. That's too heavy for what I'm
using Superman as an analogy because Mr. Cavill is also Superman.
No, but I'm bringing it up because someone told me that Cavill was also Superman this weekend, so I was like, oh shit. He's just, like, very much like Geralt's not overpowered. Like, he can still bleed, he can still die. It's just he comes across as very strong and, like, stronger than anything out there. Like, he can take any fight. He's trained for it.
And well, that is one thing in this book. I would say that was more the case in the other book I read. Whereas in this book, like, yes, I mean, he was horribly wounded in this book. So
he barely fought in this book.
I know, but he got really hurt when he did. So.
That's true.
I think in the other book he only got hurt like once, and it wasn't like that bad. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Duly noted for the Last Wish. Taking notes right now. But let's move on to the meat of the whole book, the whole dang thing. So I'm trying to break this up a little bit more, and I'll do it for the next show too, into, like, more definitive sections. So far, and feel free to add more if you want, but first section, world building. Just to start, how'd you feel about the world building? Like, did you feel like you got a good grasp of everything?
No, to be honest,
that's fair.
I just, like I said, like, there was points where I just kind of zoned out because he would just, like, the only times where it seemed like there was much as far as the geography or the kingdoms or other things like that, it just kind of all got lumped together, especially when, like, Ciri was talking to that one guy, and it was just a mess that you're just kind of, like, wading through one chapter for parts of it. And then I understand that there's a lot of complexity to the world, but I don't think that this book in particular did a great job of that.
If my, like, limited research was correct, he didn't want to include a map, and he didn't want to include a ton with the game, or with not the game, sorry, with the book, because he wanted to leave it vague and open, but I don't think that worked in his favor. And I've written about it before. Like, you can build vague worlds too, but like you build into, like, you start with a base when you build a vague world, and you build into like more detailed points. And he kind of does that, but none of the points really line up, in my opinion. So it's like, okay, like you have a world, you have monsters, and you have monsters in that world, but how did these monsters interact with the world, and how does the world interact with these monsters? And you kind of get that with this, the squirrels, but there's like very little like that really connects these things, in my opinion. Like, I'm kind of just like giving examples, but I found that like Sapkowski had a very, very hard time like placing me somewhere in that world, or giving me somewhere in that world, and then giving me like what's happening around it, and like happening regardless of what Geralt's doing, regardless of what Yen and Ciri are doing. It's just
right.
Yeah. So I'm assuming geography and stuff, like I had a hard time with geography. I don't get. The only reason I have a good idea of the geography is because of the games, and the games give you a big fast travel map. Did you get a good idea of the magic?
Once again, not as well as I think people would have liked as a standalone. Especially because we see that we keep hearing discussion and talks about Ciri being the source.
Mm-hmm.
And you just don't ever really get a full grasp of what all that means. And there's a lot of people that are confused as to how that works in the book. So, and the only person that seems to have a good understanding of it is Yennefer, and Yennefer doesn't really give out a lot of details about how it works or how she's going to train Ciri to use it effectively. So, I mean, it's interesting, and there are definitely times. Also, you have there's this like nameless mage or whatever that's the bad guy in this that we never see or hear from, and we don't know who it is exactly at this point. Who just like is opening portals for his dudes to escape from. Never really explained how that all works either.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, he's got a name, doesn't he? I could have sworn.
Does he have a name?
Yeah. I can't remember.
I know the
very...
bad guy. The guy that Geralt is chasing starts with an R, and I don't remember how to pronounce his name.
No, I know who you're talking about, and like it's been a minute, so I don't remember his name, and I don't want to pull it up on my tablet because I'm using that for chat. But like,
it's Ryance is this guy that Geralt's chasing, but he has somebody that's his boss, and we don't know who that is. And that's the more powerful guy that's just...
Right.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't want to bring up the show, so I'm going to skip what I was about to say. I was going to say the show gave us a good idea of, like, how often they use these portals. The book does not. The book, I'll give Sapkowski credit, because there's two different magic systems, or, like, multiple different magic systems, like, but I don't know if they ever had... If I remember right, Geralt very briefly used his in Kaer Morhen, and Yen and Triss kind of show themselves using their magic as well, which is like similar, like they're using the same like magic effectively,
right?
But I have no idea how it works, which is fine. It's okay storytelling to be like, hey, I don't know how this works, or you don't know how this magic works, it just does. I just feel like,
I mean that's fine. Like if people don't fully understand magic, then they just know that it works. I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, there's things that we know in physics and science that just work, and why? You know, it's like magnets. How do they work? You know?
Yeah.
But so whatever, that's fine. It's just I don't think that this particular book did a great job of explaining.
No, and like it's like an eighth of the whole series.
Yeah.
So I don't expect like a huge explanation of like, oh, holy shit. Like, we're going to do this huge, like, magic explanation, especially because there's already so much exposition, because the characters are just talking so much. They're talking consistently, and it's like, there's other ways to do exposition, and I get in your first novel, like, the easiest way, and I'll probably do it when I write my own, is going to be the same thing. It's going to be characters, like, telling you what is going on rather than you showing them with, like, showing the reader with the character. And that's kind of my biggest gripe.
Yep.
But did you think that Spkowski gave you a good idea of how the world operates outside of the main story?
Yeah, for what it was worth. Like,
No, I think so too.
I mean, this is a very small group of people going through particular circumstances that the rest of the world really isn't involved with, and probably for the most part doesn't care or doesn't know. Like Siri is such a mystery to a lot of people, and only a few people actually know about what's going on with her, that the rest of the world just probably doesn't care at all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like, we could even tell whenever they'd meet up with somebody, like, Siri had no issue saying who she was. They didn't like try to silence that at all. Like, you still had the Skoa tale, like, happening regardless of whether Geralt was there or not. You had I feel like there were like a few good little things that kind of happened to kind of solidify what was going on, and it's like, okay, like, oh, we have the cart and it's an ambush ready for the Skoa tale, and that could have happened. Like, that scene, I believe, would have happened regardless of if Geralt was there, in the sense that's like, okay, like, he also arrived at that fort before he meets up with the cart that like had just recently been attacked and dealing with the wounded. It's like there are little things kind of happening around the story, and I think that helps a lot kind of solidify just how like widespread the actual events of the world are, and that might have been more of a strong point of the world building. Not that I was paying too much attention, but there were a lot of like external events from the main story. Notably, like, even the chapter where it was just the kings and queens discussing what should be done about Sintra and Nilfgaard.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there was some degree of like quality world building in that. It's just, excuse me, it's hard to grasp that in a book so vast with so little details. Anything else for you on world building? You got anything you want to...
No,
cool.
not really on this one.
Then what were some of the more notable characters that you thought of?
Well, I think in this book, obviously, one of the guys that will end up playing a bigger part, we know down the line, is Vesemir.
Yeah.
Vesemir, obviously, being just a legendary witcher himself, who's teaching Ciri, and was basically like a father figure to Geralt.
Yeah.
So I think I liked his engagements also with Triss Marigold.
Vesemir's?
Yeah.
They did have a very interesting relationship.
Yeah, so he's kind of a bit of a grandfatherly figure to her, I guess, from the way the book goes. So
yeah, like there's a lot of caution, a lot of like, it seemed like they didn't want to step on each other's toes.
Right.
But they had to push when they felt like they needed to push, which I found pretty interesting, in the sense that it's like, okay, like these characters don't outwardly dislike each other, but they're not like super close, but they're very, very aware of the other one's presence and their role that they're playing. So there was like a lot of like very nuanced interaction between them. I don't know if it came out that way, but I feel like there was.
Right.
But yeah, Vesemir's a good one. I'm not going to remember a lot of names, but I liked a lot of the side characters in general. I know... Fuck, what's his name?
Which one?
I'm drawing a blank. I can picture his face from the game. He's the spy. Not the actual spy, but the guy who's like leading the spies. It'll come to me in a second. Or do you have it? I can't remember. Oh, Dijkstra, I think? Is it? I gotta make sure. But regardless, I liked a lot of the side characters. I found that there was like a lot of nuance to some of the smaller characters, which I think probably could have been like moved past. But it gave a lot of like, okay, every like odd and end character is like someone deep, and not deep, but like they're not as shallow as some like side characters were. Like in other books I've read, it's like, okay, well, you have this person here for like maybe 10 pages, not even, you don't give any description. But I felt like Sapkowski would give me a very good description of like even the characters I wasn't familiar with.
Right.
But also Dijkstra I found very interesting because like I know he plays a very heavy role in the politics of the world, and I think he'll play a big role like continuing in this series, and I'm hoping I can kind of get to. I've been really bad for reading outside of the actual book club, but regardless, I like Dijkstra. I like how like he's very methodical, and he's very not crass, not rude, but like blunt. Like he's like, I don't want to beat around the bush. I just want to know what's what, you know?
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, I think Sapkowski did a really good job of giving us like more detail for smaller characters. That was kind of nice.
Yeah, and I think there's so many sort of main characters that kind of he has to focus more on those, so you don't really get. You get a lot of minor characters, but not so many maybe like mid characters.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you get a lot of like main characters, a bunch of minor characters, and then a few mid characters.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. There's a lot of people involved in this book, and I liked it. And it was fun, but it's like it did get hard to keep track of at a certain point, which was a little frustrating. But I still enjoyed it regardless.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. Did you find any of the main characters particularly interesting? Like outside of like the obvious set pieces, like oh, Geralt's a Witcher. That's cool. Don't get me wrong. But like I'm looking for other details. Like did you find like any minute details in any of the characters? Like whoa, this is super tight. I know this was a little deep.
No, I know. One thing I did find a little bit interesting with this book is Dandelian's encounter where he was getting tortured. And
I'm sorry, who?
Dandelion?
I thought it was just Dandelion.
Yeah, I know it's spelled the same, but it's pronounced Dandelion.
No way. No, it's definitely Dandelion.
It is definitely not if you listen to any of the books on audio.
Yeah, but in the game it's Dandelion.
All of the books on audio say Dandelion.
Hang on. No, that's horseshit. It's definitely Dandelion. Give me.
I've never played the game, so I don't know.
The game. Whatever. Say Dandelion. I'll let people judge you how they do. If I take heat, I'm used to it. It's fine. But I'm sticking with Dandelion. I thought you said Dangelion for a second, though. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Dandelion I can at least like understand. Anyway, sorry.
Hold on.
Okay. What am I holding on for?
I'm just gonna go with this website, and I have no idea if they're right or not. Okay, so in the book, it's just because they pronounce it differently in the game. There's no reason why.
Oh, it is actually, it's Dandelion in the book, and then
It's
Dandelion in the game. Dandelion. Yeah. That's so weird. And then Yeskar in the show? Yeskir.
Wow. Anyway.
And yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No,
you had a point with it. You were gonna say something about him.
Oh, right, because he seems a little bit flighty at times, but in the book, I mean, he's being tortured and whatnot, and he doesn't really give up any information, and he's lying to people's faces.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I thought it was just a good character moment for him in that you kind of saw that, a little bit more of his true colors than maybe I've seen before. So, yeah. I like that.
I liked his nonchalance.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like, he's like, oh, well, I just need to get the hell out of here, so, like, let's fucking go. Like, there was, like, a sense of urgency for sure, but I mean, like, I feel like anybody who gets out of a torture situation is gonna want to, like, piece the fuck out with beyond question, but he's like, no, let's just go. I'd just like to go now. Like, there was, like, again, there was still that urgency, but it wasn't, like, excessive. It wasn't like, oh, I'm freaking out. It's just, let's leave, please.
Also, this was the first time I had seen Triss Marigold.
She does appear in the show. It's just her
she?
role. Yes, she dies in the show. Spoilers. I'm sorry for anybody who hasn't watched it yet, but it's been like 2.5 months.
Are you sure?
Yep, I'm very confident she dies in the show. It's in the final battle, final episode. She's just like, she's so inconsequential in the show that you just don't even realize that it's Triss. Because she died prior to this book as well, and she says that she died prior to this book. So.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil something else for you then. Don't worry about it.
Like, I know she dies and comes back, but I mean, I don't know more than that. Like, because she's in the book. Like, she's like, because the show ends before this book starts, for the most part, outside of like the flashbacks.
Yes.
So Triss being alive means that she's not dead, and she does. I think she does mention that she spent a lot of energy, or like they people put a lot of energy and a lot of time into bringing her back to life.
Yeah.
So.
Well. Anyway, I do find her relationship with Geralt a little bit interesting, especially since she's friends with Yennefer and doesn't seem to care about that at all. So.
But Yennefer cares.
Yeah.
Yennefer cares a lot, which is fair. I wouldn't blame either of them for caring.
No. But anyway.
No, again, that's another like mid-tier character you see kind of played up a lot. Like, you get a lot out of these like side characters, and I like that. I give Sapkowski a lot of credit for that. Anyway, would you recommend this book?
Yes.
Me too.
I would not recommend reading it before the other.
Fair. I did tell. Actually, you know what? I did tell my friend. Excuse me. To just like, since she's already familiar with the universe, like she's played through The Witcher 3, to just skip this book. So for someone coming into the universe, I'd probably recommend it. But for anyone not people who are unfamiliar with the universe and the world and what The Witcher is, I would recommend this book. But for anyone not, or who is familiar, I would not recommend it. Because there's a lot of exposition, there's a lot of things you'll learn and piece together very quickly without this book, in my opinion. Would you read the rest of the series?
Yes.
I know you've already read the prequels, so I made this our little like cheat sheet. The question is just, will you continue to read the series or the prequels? Dave's already read a prequel because I'm terrible at communicating. Again, my bad.
It's fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it gives you a good grasp of the world itself, which is kind of nice. Any closing thoughts on the book? Or on what we got?
Honestly, not really.
Fair.
It felt pretty straightforward in a lot of ways, and if you like the story and whatnot, just read it. So,
yeah, exactly. Like
it's the games and the show and whatever. I think it's a good thing to read. But.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I don't have much else to say either. I didn't find any 1-star reviews for it because I didn't
really
remember. I didn't remember.
Well,
do you have any?
Yeah, I did. Hold on, I actually
closed
that page.
Absolutely. No, you need to bring that up right now. I want to see. I'm going to see if I can find some too, on a whim. I'm intrigued by the ones that you have, though. I didn't look for any for the Name of the Wind, but I've got a few minutes.
Because we started. Totally just.
Yeah, I've got 0% 1-star reviews with. Oh wait, no. It's 535 1-star reviews on Goodreads. So there's got to be at least something funny here. Let's see.
I forgot about it. Don't worry about it.
It's okay. I'm gonna read some on a whim, just for kicks. I had high hopes. It was a total fail for me. I can't remember whose recommendation steered me towards this series, which is probably for the best, because only the strongest relationships could withstand the level of betrayal I feel right now. A little dramatic. Let's see, what else did I got on Goodreads? This is just a comment that says Zzz. Started off okay with the young girl winding up training with the Witchers, and the underlying storyline, the training doesn't come without expectations of much bigger things for her later on. Shipped off to boarding school for reasons unclear. Nah, none of these are like ruthless.
There was one that I felt was kind of true. The whole book is just a prelude to the next. Nothing happens and there's no climax. sort of true.
Yeah. No, I just found that one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. I agree. Like, there's very little escalating through the book. Like, it's a series of different...
Okay, I found the one I was looking for.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's kind of long, but I just like the first line. If we battled with books as weapons, this would be a butter knife.
That's amazing.
All unimpressive. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for.
Oh, my God. That's the name of this episode if I start naming episodes. If we battled with
Weapons.
books as weapons, this would be a butter knife. That's so good. Yeah, I closed my tab on 1-star reviews, but that is the end of episode 6, I think, of Arcanum Unbound. I have to double check that. Don't quote me on that. But that was The Blood of Elves by Andrezej Sapkowski. I'm Jordan, the guy that streams this biz. You can find me literally any format that includes RYT Malfunction, Instagram, Discord, same deal, Twitter, Twitch, mostly Twitch. Dave is LA Kings Dave on most formats. Do you have anything you want to shill, Dave? I shill myself every episode, so.
If
Any
anyone
causes?
just wants to donate to me because I'm not gonna have a job for like 2 weeks. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, you can chill.
I'm just
That's
kidding,
fine.
I'm
I don't
kidding.
pay Dave. I don't pay him one bit. He actually pays me bits. He gave me 13 bits yesterday.
That's
Still there on my little screen.
Nah, I don't have anything.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But yeah, that was episode whatever of Arcanum Unbound. And we will see y'all next time.